NFL trade lines just around the corner, Drew. Again, that uncomfortable silence at the beginning of a live video is always wonderful. I'm glad that I probably got close to where the video started this time, though.
Maybe we should do like the whole thing where like, yeah, you know, it's like, oh, hey guys, didn't see you come in. Welcome to Sports Around the Bar.
Never been done before. Totally original, and I think it would set our show to the next level. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I think we do that from now on.
Perfect. Welcome in, guys, to Sports Around the Bar. I'm sure you're probably in the right place if you're watching this. Today, we've got a lot to talk about, whether it's the two most terrible Sunday and Monday night games, probably of the year back-to-back, and then going into the Thursday terrible game of the week, we've got the Vikings and Redskins. We're talking about all of that, as well as all these trades going on in the NFL before the deadline here. We're going to talk XFL. We're going to get into the new league, which is new to us. We've been holding off a little bit, wanting to see what happens. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what Vince McMahon's got up his sleeve that's not going to make them fold after 6 weeks like the AAF did. Running out of different abbreviations here, I think. We're going to get through them here soon.
Nah, there's still a bunch more letters.
We're also going to talk NBA and a little bit of MLB as well with the World Series starting. So we're going all the way around the horn. Sorry to all you hockey fans out there. Best thing I can say is we put a hockey thing on the bar. We'll get to it. We'll get there. We'll get to hockey. We're not to hockey yet.
Ian, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Martavius says he's so pissed we just traded Sanu. No, I'm mad you decided to trade it to the Patriots. What is wrong with your organization?
Especially now that the rumors are out there that they also wanted him in San Francisco. And instead, when they missed on him, they went to go after Emmanuel Sanders instead. So that one is tough. And yes, Cody, at least you get to see these lovely faces just like every week. So we appreciate getting to see your guys' lovely faces as well, as long as that's you in the picture. If not, I'm just going to assume that's you wearing a Jets jersey. All right. I thought you were a Falcons fan.
Who are you talking about? That's Martavius.
I know. Is that?
And then Cody's the one that gets his stare.
I thought that was Sam Darnold, but I guess not. Can't tell. It's too small. My eyes are bad. I'm getting old. Anyway, yeah. We will move on. Tell me that's not a Jets. That's not a Jets picture. Yeah, you can't see it either. All right. And Scott says, thank God baseball is almost over. I agree, especially now that the Yankees are out. Thank God for that. But before we go into that, let's start with the Cowboys and Eagles. We are, again, contractually obligated to talk about this slaughter. I thought this was going to be a good game. It was not a good game.
Not even close.
Absolutely terrible. Now, we did say the Cowboys need to rebound and beat a team that means something. Are the Eagles that team? Or are we just looking at a bad team here?
And I just, lost the lead, by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
2 games down.
Because I believed in teams.
Insurmountable.
I believed in teams that I should never believe in ever again. And Eagles are becoming one of them. I think I can't handle it no more, man. I'm only going to pick the teams.
Heavy favorites.
I am only going to pick the teams that are going to win.
Break out the chalk. Oh, wow. Well, know, maybe that would have been a good game plan from day one. But
is that what we're doing here?
Break out the chalk. Honestly, Drew, I get it, man. I picked the Cowboys. I told you I didn't feel good about it. I felt like it was a coin flip. Instead, you get Dak Prescott and company coming out and just destroying them 37-10. Carson Wentz and the Eagles never really looked to be in it.
No.
Is it an indictment on the Eagles, or is this just the Cowboys are a good team when they feel like playing like one?
To be honest with you, man, I think anytime that you can make a team go completely away from its game plan, which is exactly what the Cowboys did against the Eagles, in that second half, I don't even know, did they even run the rock? I mean, I don't think I ever saw the ball being ran. They were consistently throwing it. It was just, it was a slaughter. That's just the best way to put it. Kerry, thank you so much for sharing the video, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Scott says, are the Eagles really any good? What you hear and what you see are two different things. I mean, this is a team that beat Green Bay, but this is also a team that lost to Atlanta. Again, Green Bay would be winless if they did, or would be undefeated if they didn't beat them. You flip the script and say Atlanta wouldn't have a win if the Eagles had won that game. So
true.
Definitely a tale of two teams. It's always tough whenever you lose your starting 2 corners. I mean, Avonte Maddox and Ronald Darby have missed significant time for this defense. They were so desperate they brought on Jonathan Cyprien and then decided, yeah, he's not any good, and traded him to Atlanta. Again, you look at this team, they can't stop anyone through the air. And I think Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have shown that if you give them the option to throw, that's how this team can really shine. I think the Cowboys are going to need to play weaker pass defenses to get very far into the playoffs this year. I don't really see them matching up with a powerhouse on defense, like going up against the Saints that are really good on defense in both kind of areas and doing much work. I think Dak needs to be able to throw, and it's got to be all the time. I know Amari Cooper's banged up as well, but if they aren't able to throw, this team's dead in the water. I mean, totally lifeless. That's why they're losing these bad games.
No doubt. Ian's already to talk about other sports. He's saying go Kings, who's ready for hockey, and then he says the Lakers are going to kill the Clippers tonight, ready for NBA. He's already moved on.
He's moved on. Football season is over. Steelers are dead. Lions are dead. basketball, here we come. They might, and it might just be a hunger thing, especially with everyone picking the Clippers to win the NBA championship. I think the Lakers probably will come up fired up. And you got Anthony Davis in town now. You got LeBron. A lot of guys out there that can probably make an impact on any given game. So yeah, I don't hate that pick.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Frank, good to see you. Scott said the Eagles, are the Eagles really any good? What you hear and what you see are two different things. And Jonathan says, I blame Roseman for not making moves before this game.
Again, how much are you willing to mortgage the future? I think as a GM, you need to sit back and say, can we win a Super Bowl if I pull the trigger on this move? Does this move get us reasonably within range of winning a Super Bowl? And I don't know that there's a guy out there with the way the rest of this team is playing, the offense being inconsistent, the run game being inconsistent, even guys like Alshon Jeffrey supposedly leaking stuff to the media. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the rumor. If I go and trade for a top-level cornerback like Patrick Peterson, are we closer to a Super Bowl? Because it's going to cost me to do that. It's going to cost picks in the future that I'm going to need to rebuild this team.
I know I'm not trying to contradict myself here from last time we talked about. We're talking about bringing A.J. Green aboard Philly and what that would do for the future of this year. But someone like Patrick Peterson or someone for that secondary is, in my opinion, the right move if you're saying our window is closing this year if we don't move forward. Now, one thing that is true is, or two things that are very true about this is the Eagles are not that far off from last time they won a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So they got some members there that are still.
Neither are the Falcons.
I'm just putting my
Go ahead.
Hold on.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know, but they still have players there that know how to win. And the other thing is that defensive front line. There's some young pieces, but there's some old pieces there that who knows how long Fletcher Cox is going to play at a high level.
Right.
I mean, and he's kind of had a down year so far too.
No, I agree. And I think as a GM, it's not always about, hey, the window's closing, make the move right now. You have to say, is the window already shut? Because if the window is already shut and you're into rebuild mode and you're throwing your picks away, it's the fastest way to lose your job because the team will be bad and you just traded those good picks away and your owners could be watching on draft day and said, they just drafted a really good player with our draft pick. So you really do need to think about it as a GM. I think it's something that they need to consider before you make the move. And the way this Eagles team is playing, I don't blame them for not gambling on the short term. They don't look like they're going to be able to win anything in the short term. I mean, if this had been a close battle, then yes, I'd say we're going into the trade deadline. Maybe it's time to pull the trigger and bring someone in because we could reasonably win this division, get to the playoffs, get hot, and then who knows what happens. But watching this game, it's pretty clear how big this gap is between the Cowboys and the Eagles right now. They're going to have to figure something out in the locker room and get everybody fired. We need this offense especially to take off to make up for this defense that's injured right now.
Well, Justin just became our favorite person on Sports Around the Bar. He says, was on the Twitter feed, and you guys are just as stunning, FYI.
Just as stunning. Wow.
Thank
Compliments all day long today. We appreciate it.
And he says, go Pack, go. Packers play like last week. No team stops them. I do want to get back up to a couple of these comments up at the top. Cody says, both Cowboys showed they're talented, and Eagles stayed in the locker room. He's just right on board. We are. I mean, it was just a domination of one team that showed they're much better than the other team, unfortunately. Scott says, welcome to the injury-prone Zion era. Are you surprised by this injury before the season even starts? I do think he's
overhyped. Remember, we were hyping Trae Young as well going into Atlanta when he came in, and is anyone hyped about him now? I think you never know when a guy's leaving college or before like that with high school how well they're going to translate in the NBA. It just never it's frustrating when it doesn't work out in football. It's even more of a crapshoot in basketball. Nobody knows who's going to be good. And then you'll get a couple guys like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson that you're like, yeah, they were all right in college. So we'll take them with like the 9th overall pick. And what was Klay Thompson, like 6? And
I think it was lower than
maybe
that.
It worked. No, he wasn't that high. But again, it's one of those things that you take them and they just blossom into great players. I think anointing Zion as the next best thing or the next LeBron to come out of college, it's always a little premature in my book. So, yeah, he's got some injuries. He hasn't really had injuries up to this point. I know he blew out the shoe when he was at Duke, and he came back when he probably should have just let it go. Beyond that, I've never heard of him having another injury in his career. They were pretty adamant about that when he blew out his shoe in college when they were playing NC State. I'm sorry. The Tar Heels, North Carolina.
Jonathan says that the Eagles are the second oldest team in the NFL. He said the worst reporter leaked that information. supposedly instead of what Alshon Jeffrey is probably what we're talking about. I'm not for sure.
Definitely could be. He also said short-term Jalen Ramsey is 24. I agree, but that's water under the bridge because Jalen Ramsey's a Ram now. You lost out on it. But he's also 24, an attitude problem, and a guy that is coming up on contract that's going to require a lot of money to stick around.
And he says, no, we're old and holding on to injury-prone vets. That's why I was trying to get at, I think it was you that was talking to us about the A.J. Green possible trade, is what does that benefit you by bringing him in?
An old, injury-prone vet.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Short term, it could work out. Long term, again, you're going to have to give up a pretty high pick to go get A.J. Green. There's a reason guys like Emmanuel Sanders and Mohamed Sanu were on the trade block because they went for more reasonable prices. Do you think the Patriots were probably asking about A.J. Green before Mohamed Sanu? Because I think they at least made the phone call.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then they heard the price and they said, we'll call you back.
Justin said, as long as R.J. Barrett will be the best player.
He
said all along R.J. Barrett will be the best player in the class. And Justin says Morant is going to be amazing just in a small market, which sucks because he's fun to watch. I think both those guys should be fun to watch.
I hope he gets out of Memphis.
I think both of them will be fun to watch.
I do too. I think Morant's going to be a great player. I just think it's Memphis. And if you look at that roster, it's absolutely falling apart. I mean, he's the only guy in the Grizzlies pretty much. It's pretty tough out there. As for R.J. Barrett, well, it's Knicks. Same scenario.
Is it kind of funny that like they let go of Mike Conley and then now it's like a new Mike Conley but Morant?
I hope he's better than Mike Conley.
But
I like Mike Conley. I don't like a max contract Mike Conley.
I'm just saying it's like literally they got rid of him to bring in almost the exact same player, like at least in position wise.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Memphis gets good again, and maybe they can go build up a team of bigs, and you have Ja Morant and maybe another shooter, and we're talking about them being good again. But they're kind of like the Suns. They're kind of like the Knicks. They're perennially bad.
They're kind of close to us. We can kind of root for them,
They don't make... I guess. We'll claim them if they get to the finals, right? You'll just see all this Memphis gear and be like, we were on them all along.
Well,
no.
Nuggets will always be my number one team. But then...
He says that, but just wait till the Grizzlies get to the finals and Drew has a chance to win one. All right, we won't dwell on this game. Again, the Cowboys looked great, but again, I need sustained success before I'm willing to buy in on the Cowboys bandwagon. As well as the Eagles, I need sustained success before I'm willing to even consider it. I think the Eagles have kind of definitely taken a big step back here in the past couple weeks. A lot of it's in the secondary. I know Jonathan's saying they need to just spend money, trade picks, go get some new guys, and take another swing to make it back to the playoffs here. But I don't know. I don't see it. Again, if you're the GM, that's the kind of move that can cost you a job, especially if someone like Jalen Ramsey goes and wrecks your locker room afterward. You got to find the right guy.
Yeah, no doubt. Will, good to see you, man. He's saying Emmanuel Sanders to the Niners is, I guess, laughable. I think it's a great move personally.
Oh, I think they got a steal.
And Jeff says, thank God the NBA season is back. The Lions have been pissing him off. Ian is just reassuring the Lions will be fine. Still a long season. I agree. And they played really well in those 3 losses.
12-4 is looking mighty tough, though, right? 2-3-1. I'm not going to rub it in.
They win every
They've been
game
much better than I thought.
Out.
They've been much better than I thought. They need
every
to.
game.
Yeah. I'll give you credit here, though. I think the Lions are definitely not dead in the water. And usually when a team's sitting at 2-3-1, essentially 2-4, they're usually pretty dead in the water. I think the Lions can claw their way back into it, despite the Vikings looking good and the Packers looking great. Both of those teams, to me, still have the opportunity to fall apart. I think there are a couple key, like if something happens to Zadarius Smith in Green Bay or Aaron Rodgers, or something happens to Stephon Diggs now that Adam Thielen's banged up and Kirk Cousins has nowhere to throw, I could see both those teams slowing down big time. I'm not saying I want that to happen, and you never root for that, but if I'm the Lions, I'm going into the same, we're not dead yet. Yeah.
Justin, no, I was joking. Yes, Morant and Conley are in the same position, but definitely not close to skill set. Though Conley proved to be a better pro than I think a lot of people thought, I think Morant's coming with a higher ceiling. I'm not comparing their talent by any means.
I agree with you. Also, Cody says, can the Seahawks fix their defense with the trade for the safety? His name's Quandre Diggs. This is a good value pickup. Again, he was an alternate to the Pro Bowl last year. He's not a bad player. When you talk about a guy that's, I think, 29 at this point, going to there for essentially swapped picks, it's the kind of move that gets you back there, Drew. It's not sexy. It ain't flash. It's not the Madden kind of trade everybody wants to see, where you go out and bring in 3 huge names and trade a couple draft picks, because who needs those anyway? But this is the kind of move that helps the defense out, and you're going to get a quality player out there in Seattle. I like Quandre Diggs on the move. I'm not sure why the Lions are trading him away. It's my thing. Maybe they are throwing the towel in on the season. Maybe they're saying we're 2-3. Vikings have 5 wins now. Packers have 6.
Yeah.
Maybe we're done. I don't know. I don't know that I believe that, but trading away your safety, that was a Pro Bowl alternate before for, again, what was it here? A 2020 5th round and a 2020 7th when you have to give up a 5th as well? Or a 6th or something like that? No, I'm sorry. You give up your 7th to get a 5th.
Yeah.
Tough, man. Absolutely tough. I think when you look at that trade, this is kind of the Lions saying, we'll go in another direction, get a pick, and try to rebuild again. Kind of like we've been saying they've been needing to do all year.
No doubt. Will, you're just like me, man. Your fan base is all across the United States. He says he's ready for Mavericks basketball.
Mavericks, Tampa Bay, Cubs, no Packers. Who's your hockey team? All over the map.
All over
Absolutely
the map.
right.
Just like me.
Okay, we'll move on. Let's talk about the Patriots and Jets. I want to talk about the trades, but let's talk about the Patriots and Jets. Just when I wanted to believe Sam Darnold, just when I wanted to believe, I picked him up in fantasy and everything on the bench. I wasn't that dumb.
Wow.
But still,
You don't play him against the Patriots. You don't play him against the Bills. You can probably play him everywhere else.
get him some receivers. And I know he was out there saying, I'm seeing ghosts, everything else, but man, Sam Darnold looked bad last night.
I'm ready to, kind of make you eat your words a little bit. Because you got
Hold on. I think before you do that,
right back onto that train when he beat the Cowboys.
Before you do that, remember, you've been Team Baker for a long time, and you may want to consider what you're going to say.
Still believe in the guy because he's not.
Okay.
He's not.
Sam Darnold.
He's not going 0 touchdowns and 4 picks in a game.
Yeah, it's like usually like 1 and 3, right?
Yeah, so that's
He's
fair.
Killing it.
That's fair.
Okay. And he's also got, what, for receivers? Jarvis Landry. He's got Odell Beckham. He has Njoku most of the time. I know he's out right now. He has Nick Chubb. He
Blackhawks.
has Kareem Hunt come back. Okay.
Sorry.
And the Blackhawks. Well, a couple Chicago teams. We're not all, if you would have said something like the LA Kings, I would have been like, all right, we're just picking them now. Put a name in a hat. But interesting fan base. You'll have to let us know how you decided to pick those guys. Going back to the Sam Darnold thing. I think it's obvious the Jets just are not prepared to play the Patriots ever. Like, pretty much since Rex Ryan left.
Well, they put up 14 points against them.
Not this week.
The first game.
Yeah, not this week.
I'm just saying, they scored one time. Not this game, but this year.
Big time. They got in the end zone once. Okay, now here's what I want to ask you guys. Is this Patriots defense as good as everyone's talking about it? Because I get it. They're looking like they are better than the 85 Bears or the Ravens. If you look at the stats, they're allowing 6.9 points a game, Drew. Looks pretty fantastic.
Crown 'em.
Are they better than all these other guys?
Absolutely.
And any other defense in NFL history. I say all these other guys. It's a pretty collective term.
Yeah. As they face the Dolphins, the Jets, the Redskins, the Bills, all these powerhouse offensive teams. Crushing them.
Ian says, Jets, more like a Cessna, which, for anyone not up on their airplane lingo, those are small single-engine planes that have a tendency to fail. Yeah, I agree with you, Ian. Good joke. I got it. Not sure the room got it, but good one.
I thought you said siesta, like a nap.
All right. Justin just said,
or is that a party?
Jets lost, done talking.
I don't even know my
kind of in the same
Spanish.
spot. Siesta is nap.
Oh,
Fiesta is party.
I nailed it. But then I backed it up because I got nervous.
Doesn't your team play in Mexico every year? Haven't you picked up on the lingo by now?
Yeah, but I've been kicked out of Mexico.
All right. All that stripping. Not allowed anymore. We'll move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore, okay? Because I was wrong about Sam Darnold. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Not that I thought he was lighting the world on fire in this game.
Will says the 0-2 Bucks defense was nuts. Let's give them some love.
They were very good. Very, very good.
They had some dominant players, for sure.
Not to mention Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks back in the day. I mean...
Barber.
Monsters, man. Monster defensive
John
teams.
Lynch.
And who have they had since then?
Jameis
Levante David, good player. They've had a couple guys.
Yeah, but they let him go.
But they also have...
Well, no,
that was Quan Alexander. Yeah, that was Quan Alexander. Also a good player.
Yeah, they let him go.
But not a great team. Pretty much defensively, they've been a joke since then. So I feel you, Will. It's very interesting. Are the Patriots that good on defense? That's my only thought here. That's all I want to talk about. The rest of this game.
They got 5 games that are coming up that I call them maybe games. Maybe the Patriots lose these teams. I think you're going to finally see what this defense is made out of. Problem is, they had tons of time to fix any kind of errors, and they've been playing great football. I don't want to take anything away from them. But I think you're going to see a little bit of a change these next 5 weeks or next 5 games that they play. They're going to have the Ravens. They're going to play the Cowboys, the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Browns. I would say that these teams could obviously put up a little bit more points than the Redskins, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Bills.
Scott makes a good point.
Let's see what happens after these games and see where we crown them after that.
Scott does make a good point. He says the Patriots are doing this against the best athletes in the world, but just being the best athlete and the most athletic guy does not always make you the best football player. Otherwise, Usain Bolt will be the best wide receiver in the game. There's such a thing as technique, and let's face it, these teams that they're going up against, they don't have the guys with the best technique. And I don't know. You can argue both ways here until you're blue in the face. All I'm going to say is it's been 6 great performances against very, very, very bad teams and the Bills.
Bad offenses.
Yes, especially. But no, I'm just going to hold out. Very bad teams.
Yeah, but the offense. I'm sorry. That's what you're rating your
bad
defense
teams
against.
All the way through. Because, again, where's the pressure? They go into one-dimensional mode.
Well, I don't consider, I don't consider the Bills a bad team. Bad offense.
Who have they played? We talked about that beforehand.
The Patriots.
And the game behind that, their next best win was the 3-4 Titans that was winnable the entire time. They almost lost to Cincinnati. They almost lost to Miami. Are the Bills a good team?
Yes.
No.
A good team.
I don't know. They're a bad team with a good record. You heard it here first. I don't know how to tell you this, man. I don't know how to tell you this. The Bills are not a good team just because they're winning. That doesn't. You can't go and look at a result and indicate and say, "Oh, this will be fine if you play this 1,000 times."
This is exactly what I'm saying about the Patriots. Then that the Patriots aren't a good team because they're not playing against anyone.
Well,
that's good.
no, hold on.
Well, hold on.
No, okay.
The record.
What did the Bills look like last year? And what did the Patriots look like last year?
Patriots did absolutely nothing last year.
And 2 years ago,
what's
a
Super Bowl ring to a Patriot fan?
Nah, I don't know. Tuesday. Again, you look at this, Drew. The Bills, even though they're winning games right now, have not played a tough schedule, will not play a tough schedule. They have like 3 teams with winning records right now that they're going to play, and only because the Cowboys have scraped their way to have a winning record here. It's a pretty easy schedule if you're a Buffalo fan. But take it, because this team's been waiting for a break since like 1994 where they missed all those field goals.
Jacob said, what about the Cowboys defense?
This is a great step up from an inconsistent unit that's let some bad teams put up some points against them. This is a great result against an offense that has been hit or miss all season long.
I haven't got an update, but if Vander Esch is hurt, I think that's a huge loss. I know Sean Lee steps in. That's great, but how long is he going to be healthy for? He's kind of proven he can't be out there for a long period of time. I think it's a bigger loss than people like to let on. But even that being said, I don't think the Cowboys' defense has been as good as they were last year.
They definitely have not.
So... Yeah.
But this is a good performance. Don't let us take away from that. If you're a Cowboys fan...
Can they be good? I think so. It's just a matter of time.
If you're a Cowboys fan, you're saying, man, this is the foundation, right? We just shut down the Eagles. We're going to get a little bit of swagger going back in this defense, and things are going to be okay. It's all going to be rosy from here. But honestly, Drew, I think it's more of a blip on the radar more than it is a pattern. I can't say that now I believe in the Cowboys defense or I believe in the Cowboys offense. I still don't trust them. Yeah. I don't trust them.
Yeah. Will says... He'll say it here first. The Niners are better than the Patriots. Prove him wrong.
Well, they're not going to play, so I can't emphatically prove you wrong. But they've played a little bit tougher competition. I think there's a lot of people out there saying the 49ers haven't played anybody tough. I think they've played the much tougher schedule to this point.
Hands down.
I don't know that I'm going to take them. If I said heads up right now, 49ers, Patriots, Super Bowl, who am I taking? Patriots. You have to do it. And maybe that's another beer bet. Maybe you could take the 49ers. I love the way they're playing. I love the defense especially. I want to see a little more out of Jimmy G, but I like the running game as well. I like this trade for Emmanuel Sanders. This has been my biggest complaint forever. They need weapons out there in San Fran. I've been saying that since they brought in Pierre Garçon and paid him $17 million a year. I said, that isn't good enough, and you overpaid for that.
Cody says all coaching for the Pats been able to play young guys and stay fresh and fast. So he looks for the defense to finish strong. I do think it's a benefit that their schedule's been so weak that when they do finally get to their tougher part of their schedule, they're well rested. Cody, I'll give you that. I also think it's going to kind of buff the stats a little bit too, because you got to think about all these other teams that have had injuries. Not that the Patriots haven't had injuries, but they have injuries. They've had other issues that are coming on there. Why are you tapping me? Let me talk, sir. You just went on like a 20-minute rant.
I got a funny one, all right? Justin said, here's why I had to interrupt here, Drew. Justin says, breaking news, Lonzo Ball hits his first 3 of the season. So we are going to go live to Lonzo's dad and ask him what he thinks about the situation. Because everyone wants to know exactly what he's thinking.
Buy my shoes.
Yeah, go back. Go ahead, continue. I was trying to tell a joke and you ruined it.
You have a terrible joke.
That was hilarious. You just killed the timing.
Good.
All right, keep going. What were you saying?
Yeah, you killed my comment.
All right, then we'll move on. It wasn't important anyway.
All I'm saying, obviously, all I'm saying, and this is the last thing I want to talk about the Patriots, because I do want to get moving on from them, and I know no one wants to sit here and talk about the Patriots except the Patriots. My point to this is they're going to face these teams when they're all beat up, and the Patriots realistically are fresh and ready to roll. It's almost unfair. They're going to buff their stats a little bit because of it.
I agree. Martavius also says Nick Bosa is a beast, and Matt Ryan is pretty much dead when the Falcons face the 49ers. Yeah, if he's healthy. Matt Ryan sprained his ankle here. There's no reason to rush Matt Ryan back. He's like 32 or 33 right now. He's getting to that point in time where you're going to leave your prime as a quarterback and start to get into that older, we need to protect him mode. I have no problem with the Falcons sitting at 1-6 right now, resting him as long as humanly possible to get him as much health as he needs. Put Matt Schaub in there, let him take the beating. Don't sweat it, Martavis. I know this season has been tough on you, but the best case scenario is you get through it, you get your quarterback back next year, you get a good pick, and you rebuild this team again. You got to get some fixing on this defense. You got to get another weapon now that Sanu is gone. Realistically, if you're going to keep the same identity, and maybe it's time for a new head coach. I like Dan Quinn. I don't think you're going to do much better than Dan Quinn in the offseason, but maybe it's Mike McCarthy. Maybe they go offensive mind instead and say, we're just going to outshoot. We're going to try to be the Chiefs.
Yeah. I still can't put the blame on Dan Quinn, but if you can't keep your people healthy, then sometimes it's time to move on from a coach because he kind of takes trainers out. He takes strength and conditioning out, all those coaches that kind of move on and rotate.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to put all the blame on Dan Quinn. I think he is a good coach. It's just...
But he hasn't achieved his mission, right?
Exactly.
They brought him in to get the defense halfway right. They're like, we got Matt Ryan, we got Julio Jones.
Exactly. And the only thing that seems to be almost consistent is that offense. That defense seems to struggle.
And they had a great year when they went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Outside of that, it's not been good sailing for this defense.
No,
under Dan
I'll
Quinn.
give you this. Dan Quinn will, if he loses his job, will for sure be a defensive coordinator somewhere else or some kind of person that definitely goes over scouting and finding talent because the people that he has brought in, like Deion Jones and Keanu Neal, I mean, some of these guys are studs.
He's had a couple hits, but they've also missed big time on that defensive line, except for Grady Jarrett, who is kind of a diamond in the rough, and you can't really bet on that all the time.
Right.
They've had a lot of busts on that defensive front. So, again, he's a defensive front guy. He's going to get a job. I agree with you there. But, it's not all roses. It's not all roses is my point, I guess.
Justin, the Patriots schedule has been ridiculous, and Will says ridiculously easy. It's very true. Ian says, that would be the worst Super Bowl for a Steelers fan in San Fran and New England. San Fran gets 6 or New England gets 7. He said, oh, hell no.
Will also says, can they fire Lick now in Tampa Bay? He says, how the hell did he get a 4-year extension? I'm with you. Again, how has he hung on as long as he has? You look at this roster, you're scratching your head. I get it. You were like one of the worst teams in the NFL last year, and you went into the season with the least amount of cap space. That means something's going wrong with the team.
Yeah, Cody's willing to bring Dan Quinn back. He says he's always welcome to Seattle. Come home, Dan. They won a Super Bowl with him being a defensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
I don't blame him.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get into these trades.
Mohamed Sanu to the Patriots.
Oh, man, let's not get into these trades.
We got to talk about the Patriots again for second-round pick. Here's what I want to talk about.
Jesus.
Second-round pick for a 30-year-old wide receiver. I like it. If I'm Atlanta, I like it. I like it from the Patriots because more than likely we're going to be good. We're going to be close to that Super Bowl. So that second-round pick is basically like giving up a third. I look at this deal, and I'm saying win for both teams. I usually go one way or the other, but I look at this, and I say the Falcons are rebuilding. That second-round pick will help them do that, whether it's Dan Quinn taking that pick or not. I also look at the Patriots, and I'm like, yeah, Mohamed Sanu is going to help with Edelman's ribs acting up, and you got Philip Dorsett, who's got a hamstring, and N'Keal Harry, not doing well.
Well, he's on IR. He's going to be coming back.
It's getting thin in the wide receiver room. Josh Gordon's banged up. It's getting thin in the wide receiver room. So to trade for one like Mohamed Sanu, who's done so much damage from the slot over the past couple of years, number, what are we on, 8? I lost count.
Just as sorry for ahead of Sunday night, Drew, but Packers 34, Chiefs 20. As it moved forward, I actually was looking forward to a high caliber matchup. I appreciate you thinking my Chiefs are going to score 20.
I think they will. I think the Pack will relax at the end of the game. The Chiefs will score 20.
Oh, thanks, man.
It may be 48-0 before that, but Are you taking the Chiefs? Spoiler alert.
I can't tell
Maybe
you.
not this week.
I can't tell you.
Go ahead, take them. I need a bigger lead.
I hope they win.
It's breaking news, everybody. Drew hopes the Chiefs win. All right.
That's better than you as your fan. I swear to God, they lose this game to the Chargers. I'm never a Titans fan ever again. I hate them.
I did not say that. I said that about Mariota. I was like, if they
You
renew
said
Mariota.
that out there.
Hold on. I did not say that.
Yes, you
What I did say was if they renew Mariota before the season started, it's going to be really tough to be a Titans fan forever. That's all I could say. Mm-hmm. When you're that dumb, how long do I need to give my loyalty to an
Guys,
organization
next
that's
time
stupid?
that this happens, I'm going to record it, and then I will air it so you guys can all see it.
Go ahead. Not on camera, didn't happen. Pixar, didn't happen, Drew. All right, we'll move forward.
Steve, good to see you, man. Sorry it's been a long week. We know exactly what that feels like. It's always a long week, day, hour, minute for me.
Ian also says, "Are we honoring Johnny Cash today? The Men in Black?" Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you picked up on that subtle reference, just like the Cessna joke, man. You're on the next level right now, Ian. You're on the next level. All right.
Do you even wear black?
It was planned. We talked about this before the show, remember?
This is the color of my soul.
Scott also says Ridley will be getting a bigger role. It's sink or swim time for him. I mean, he's done some good things. You want to see the step up. Do I really think it's sink or swim, like we're moving on from Calvin Ridley? I'll give you this. Next year, maybe, because by then you're going to start to decide whether it's worth giving him the fifth-year option for a rookie and whether you want to pay him all that money, because that usually comes with a pretty big cap impact, or whether you just want to try to re-sign him or let him go after that.
Is it really him, though? I mean, not even Julio's doing that great. It's Austin Hooper who's been leading the charge in this receiving group. I don't know if you can sit there and put everything on Calvin Ridley and sit there and say, oh, you're not performing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't watch every Atlanta game, so I don't want to sit there and tell you for a fact that he's not the problem.
And he's had a hip injury, too. He's not been 100%.
But let's not ignore the fact that this offense has been struggling all year long. They can't get a run game going. I mean, there's issues across the board besides Calvin Ridley.
I totally agree with you, man. It's not just Calvin Ridley's fault. And I don't know that I'm in sink or swim territory quite yet, Scott, but you do kind of have a point where it's time to decide whether this guy's worth that fifth-year extension, because you have to give it to him before he goes into year 4. You have to decide if Calvin Ridley is going to be worth paying a lot of money to in the short term and then re-inking him to a big deal, or whether it's time to move on and come up with another answer at wide receiver, because Julio isn't getting any younger. So I'll give you that. Maybe it is sink or swim time from that standpoint. Do I think they cut him tomorrow if he doesn't get the job done? No, but you might be right where they're going to know more about whether he's the future star wide receiver for this team or whether it's time to go draft again.
Steve, I'm extremely sorry to hear that, man. Prayers to you and your family. And I'm not making a joke, but this next beer's for you and you guys, all right? I'll get it.
All right. Works for me. We'll talk about our next trade, which is the 49ers and Emmanuel Sanders. I think this is, again, another team that like I said before, has been ailing at wide receiver for years now. I only kind of scratch my head and say, how did John Lynch pull this off? Because up till now, he's been the guy that overpays for everything. I think them trading just a third, a fourth, and giving up a fifth, I think is absolutely fantastic. I think the 49ers won this trade. The Broncos, again, they haven't used Emmanuel Sanders in years. He shows up for like one game all the time and then does not do anything after that. So I look at this deal, and they're getting much better at wide receiver here, bringing in a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. This is a guy who can take over a game. We don't talk about him because he's played in Denver with guys like Trevor Siemian and Joe Flacco, who are on the same level, by the way.
Case Keenum.
Your
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Paxton.
Lynch, okay.
Lynch, yeah.
Who barely ever started.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm great.
He was there.
Garbage quarterbacks.
So pretty much since Peyton Manning, he has played with some of the bottom of the barrel quarterbacks in the NFL. Now all of a sudden he's on his way to a good team that's winning games with a decent quarterback in Jimmy G at least, and a running game and a defense. Must be good to be Emmanuel Sanders and Mohamed Sanu today, because they woke up yesterday on teams that were way out of the race, and today you're on undefeated teams.
Yeah, no, it is definitely good. Out of the two, I would say that the Niners got the better talent, but I don't want to knock anything from Sanu. I think Sanu's still a very solid player, exactly what the Patriots need in the receiving core. A guy that seems to be consistently healthy too. I don't know if you got to Martavius' comment, but he says he doesn't think that Quinn will be fired in his opinion, but Quinn can't do both. He needs to bring in a defensive coordinator to get that defensive right. Atlanta,
Well, he's supposed to be the defensive guy,
and
remember.
Atlanta needs to go after Chase Young in that upcoming draft.
One thing I will say, Martavius, is remember, he's supposed to be the defensive mastermind. He took over the play calling this year on the defense, and things have not really improved. And I know, kind of like Drew said, Keanu Neal got hurt. You could blame a lack of talent for that. I don't think it's time to give up on Dan Quinn either. I've kind of said that before. I don't think Dan Quinn is the kind of guy that's going to be a good enough coach like Bill Belichick or Mike Tomlin that can get you there pretty much by himself with a little bit of talent. I think he's going to need a more talented defense to get the job done. I think right now when you look at it on paper, they have a couple names like Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett. They need a couple more guys. They need to have a bunch more solid guys and then maybe another name or two, and we can talk about the Falcons having a good defense again.
Yeah, no doubt. I think we already kind of went over this, but Just said good trade value, but is Emmanuel Sanders a difference maker?
I think so. I think so. And there's always the chance Father Time is undefeated. Maybe he slips off and this winds up not being worth it, but this is a hell of a gamble for a team that's undefeated. Worst case scenario, you've still got the same receiving core you had. You have Emmanuel Sanders on the group that, let's face it, I mean, the Broncos have made use of him, but it seems like they never do it until the end of the game in crunch time, and they're like, oh, I guess we have to throw to Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah. Hopefully Kyle Shanahan makes better use of that, and I think he will.
I think he will too. I always forget, is it Godwin or Goodwin open the Niners?
It is Marquise Goodwin.
Goodwin has been kind of a disappointment this year. And George Kittle, to be honestly, has been also another disappointment.
Focus. You say disappointed, but when you're the only receiving option, everyone's like, go get him. If this trade makes George Kittle that much more open, I'm okay with it.
That's what my whole point was.
And I think
so. If he's asking, is he a difference maker? I think he creates openings for their other weapons because so far they have had an issue getting the ball to these other playmakers.
And you may not feel like he is.
And yes, George Kittle has had a disappointed season so far.
Yeah, but how long can you hold out as the only wide receiving weapon for anyone? And I know you're like Marquise Goodwin. I know people like Marquise Goodwin. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a good sprint kind of player that you send him downfield and you scare defenses. He always has to back up. The defense always has to back up to cover him. But you don't win games with Marquise Goodwin. That can't be your headline at wide receiver. And you have, Pettis? They're as thin as the Jets
Cody,
are.
I don't. Did you say that he's not Sanders? Okay, so Cody says, "Tell me how Sanders isn't coming in as the Niners' number one receiver."
That might have been to the comments before. He is.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I mean, Kittle's probably the first option still.
First receiving
but
option.
receiving option for.
But if we're talking about wide receivers, it's Emmanuel Sanders.
It's Emmanuel Sanders. 100%, man. 100%. I don't know if I said it or if he said it, but if we did, that's not what we meant. We 100% think he fits that number one wide receiver role.
Justin says he doesn't think he does anything for them, honestly. Every receiver they have is exactly the same type of guy. He's got speed. He's an amazing route runner. I don't think they have an amazing route runner on that team. You look at I was going to make fun of MTSU, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hold off on a guy in the bottom of the roster, not do it. Instead, I'm going to say they don't have a great route runner. They've got speed in Marquise Goodwin, and speed can kill. They have an athletic freak in George Kittle that can catch, and he runs routes okay. But wide receiver-wise, this is the best route runner they have coming in. Not to mention he still has wheels for his age. I think Emmanuel Sanders is a guy, and he's got great hands too. Emmanuel Sanders is a fantastic pickup for me.
I don't know, Justin, if he changes like numbers per se, but I think what they're missing in this locker room in the wide receiver group is a leader. You know, Pierre Garçon's gone. He was a veteran, a long-time NFL receiver in this league, and now he's gone. And now you got a bunch of young guys that I think the longest one's been 3 years in this league.
Yeah,
bringing in someone like Emmanuel Sanders adds in that kind of leadership in that locker room, and that's where you're going to see the difference make there. That's what I'm saying, and I'm agreeing with you. A route runner, Emmanuel Sanders is an excellent route runner. He's not as fast as he used to be. He used to be that over-the-top speed guy. He's really calmed that down quite a bit because he just doesn't have that breakaway speed. Not the guy isn't fast.
He's still
got extremely
for
fast.
But
this is a.
It could be something he wakes up tomorrow and can't run as fast as he used to.
There's also talks that they were looking for Sanu. They were looking for anyone that had leadership in the wide receiver group to be there. That's what they're wanting, and maybe Sanu was their first choice, but I don't think that this is a bad second choice by any means.
Now Ian kind of agrees with us. He says this opens the San Francisco offense up greatly. Totally agree with you there. Will says, in our opinions, do we feel like we are seeing more trades in the past few years than in the past of the NFL. And why? Absolutely, it is because you're getting younger GMs who are playing the game more aggressively. It's speeding up. You're getting a lot of teams that are willing to take aggressive moves to try to get things done, as opposed to years past where I think everyone was kind of afraid of being embarrassed. You didn't really see a lot of trades. 100%. If you look at the trades, I don't have the chart in front of me, but I mean, it's basically doubled in the past 3 years from what we've seen at trade down. It used to be there would be one trade or maybe 2 trades, and it's 2 guys that don't really make an impact here. You're seeing a huge spike in trades both in the offseason and before the trade deadline because GMs are saying, I don't have long to get this done. Whether it's on the field and my window's closing or off the field and I'm talking about saving my job, I need to be aggressive if I want to win.
Yeah, I think it goes right back to what you were saying about job security. Windows in the NFL throughout the years, and it seems like more often now, they're becoming a lot shorter, especially after you saw what Arizona did.
Steve Wilkes wasn't even there for 365 days.
Exactly. So this is exactly just kind of how the dominoes lie. I think as soon as one of it starts, it all affects everybody. And if you're not consistently winning, your job's on the line. And this is how you could win, is you go out there and find good value in trades.
I think it makes it more entertaining.
Oh, I love it.
And number 2, I think
when the Patriots strike.
I think it helps teams win. Again, playing aggressively can help, as opposed to you saying, oh, well, we'll just sit back. I mean, what if Atlanta would have kept Mohamed Sanu and they would have won 3 more games and they keep him and he's getting older as a wide receiver and he's costing you money and you're not getting those draft picks and the team doesn't significantly improve? You don't get that much better.
Yeah, no, I agree.
This helps everybody. This helps the Patriots and it helps the Falcons.
Let me hit these 3 comments before I get to Terry's real quick. Steve says good win numbers are about to rise greatly. Cody says if you watch Sanders, works well in slot routes. I agree. Just says he agrees he's a respectable vet to bring in for sure. Can't ever beat having that. So he's right on board. Terry says, do you guys think the Titans will re-sign Tannehill or let him test the market next year?
That's what the next few weeks are going to be about. If you start winning games in Tennessee, they will re-sign Ryan Tannehill because they're going to be looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, there's a lot of teams likely to draft quarterbacks ahead of us in this draft, and our pick isn't good enough to go get somebody to start. They'll re-sign Tannehill in that sense. Let's say we bomb out and we win 4 games this year. You'll see the Titans draft somebody and Ryan Tannehill leave. Really? This is his audition. And this was a hell of a start. I mean, when was the last... Marcus, I think, threw for 1 300-yard game last year against Philadelphia, and it took overtime for him to get there. You just saw Ryan Tannehill come in his first game, which was laden with mistakes. It wasn't perfect, but he came out and threw for 300 yards from the get-go. He had some clock management issues. He had a couple miscommunications early.
Yeah, but I think that's more just the fact that he hadn't had a lot of time to play.
Sure. No, I agree with that, but... And hopefully that gets better.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, you're like,
realistically, he almost came out and had a perfect game. It was the pick that I still don't blame on him. Well,
it's a tip.
But it still happens. It's still a stat against him.
No, I agree.
But regardless of, a year from now, we're not going to remember that one pick was not his fault. The fact he threw a pick is what it is. To be honest with you, I don't see it happening. I think Mariota will be gone, and you guys will sign Tannehill to a reasonably decent contract. It won't
that's
be
money,
and it won't be overwhelming, but it's going to save you guys in such the long run. You guys will be glad you did it.
If you keep him around,
I still think you're going to draft a quarterback.
If you keep him around the $20 million mark, that's a huge win for the Titans because that means you're going to be able to keep paying these defenders to come out and win the game for you. All you need Tannehill to come out and do is put up 20-plus points. Yeah. And in the NFL, that is a powerful combination. If that happens, it's the perfect scenario. The problem is Tannehill's had health issues in the past.
Yeah.
And we're used to that with Mariota, but we need him for 16 games realistically next season.
He'll be drafting a quarterback for sure. Steve goes, should Chicago trade Mitch Trubisky?
To who? That's always the thing. I always wanted it. Nobody is above being traded. The question is, do I get the right price for him? There's a price on everybody in the NFL. The problem is, most of the teams that are bad enough to consider trading for Mitch Trubisky are saying, I'll just go draft my guy this year. I'll get Tua Tagovailoa. I'll go get
You got to remember,
Herbert.
They moved up.
Yeah.
They moved up to take this.
To number 2.
So there's more value in him than there is in realistic value, or there's more value to the Chicago Bears than there is value in the open market.
Precisely.
So they're gonna stick with this. This is what it is. They'll probably run him out for another 2 years and see what happens, and then they'll decide on that 5th-year option or not.
The real question is, do you just go trade for Ryan Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins and bring him in and say this defense can win despite the 2 picks he's probably going to throw every game because they'll put up a couple points for us? I would consider that. I'd be on the horn right now saying, hey, what's the number?
Yeah.
Can we keep this reasonable?
Yeah. Cody says it seems a lot more teams are closer to playoffs along with injuries are up this year. It seems a lot more teams are closer to playoffs along with injuries are up this year.
So what he's saying is a lot of teams are in the playoff race. Yes, there's a lot of parity, but I think it's more... Last year there were a lot of teams in the playoff race too, but we also saw teams that were clearly superior. Well, this year, we've seen those superior teams fall back towards the middle, and everybody, except for like the Patriots and the Chiefs with a healthy Mahomes and the Saints with a healthy Breeze have been, and the Packers, I'll give you that, Justin. I know you're still watching, man. The Packers too. Everyone else seems like they're in the middle. There really don't seem to be far and away teams that you look at like last year, like the Rams and the Saints and the Patriots and the Chiefs at this time, that you were like, man, they're beating everybody every week.
I think there's still clear-cut teams that look like they're going to go that way, but the season's so young, man. I mean, anything could happen at this point. Anything. What if Tom Brady gets hurt?
Are the Dolphins making it? Maybe not anything.
Well, no.
Redskins, dead in the water. Broncos, dead in the water. Not anything, Drew.
They might not be.
We're almost halfway through. It's not that young.
It still is young.
It's not that young. It could happen for a lot of teams still, but
there's a lot of teams that have won Super Bowls being 9-7.
Are the Patriots going to bomb out, and we're not going to see them make it? Is Buffalo
Tom
not going to make it in this AFC?
Tom Brady gets hurt.
I said, is Buffalo not going to make it?
I know, but I'm just saying Tom Brady. Well,
I think the Patriots make it without Tom Brady. Their defense is giving up 6 points, and they don't play anybody.
I think you're just so used to negativity because you're a Titans fan.
Could be it. It definitely could be it. All right, we'll move forward. A couple more of these comments. Will says, and yet Lick still has a job. Again, Tampa Bay has not succeeded, but they've also been one of the most conservative franchises out there where they're sticking with guys longer than they need to. Look at that offensive line. You're paying all of them, and none of them are any good.
Yeah. Justin wants to know trade for Bridgewater, Jake?
For the Titans? No. I mean, I don't think Teddy Bridgewater's a world beater. He's winning games with a complete roster on the Saints, but it's not in flashy style. Yeah, they blew out the Bears in the second half last week, but again, you look at Teddy Bridgewater and you're like, is Teddy Bridgewater the reason they're winning that game, or is that roster just really, really good? I think that roster is just really, really good. He's a bad quarterback. No, I don't. Again, I've said it before. He's like a fringe starter for me. He's somewhere hanging around 32 that he can win you some games if you put the perfect scenario around him. But there's 25, 28 other quarterbacks. You put the perfect scenario around them, they're going to win.
I told you early on that Bees is a very smart guy, and you told me he's not. AFC and NFC are wide open. A lot of teams are showing they belong. See, I told you they're wide open. This man knows what he's talking about. He also says he could see Marcus Mariota going to New England next year.
No. Accuracy issues. They're not going to put up with that. They want to have accurate quarterbacks. Look at the guys like Jacoby Brissett. Have you watched him play? Don't doubt me.
No. Hoyer,
yeah, okay. Hoyer had a decent 5 minutes in Cleveland. And was it the best pick? No, but you remember they picked up Hoyer as a backup because Jimmy G had to leave and Brissett too. A backup, but you're not going to go sign Marcus and be like, oh, that'll be fine. We'll be okay with that. They picked up Hoyer because they had no choice. And what happened? As soon as they got a choice,
they might bring up Marcus Mariota because they have no choice.
They drafted Nate Stidham. I don't know that Nate Stidham's going to be there long term, but I think Marcus is definitely not the answer for New England.
We are having some.
OBS says we're good. Let's keep going.
All right. Well, hopefully enjoy our. Boop, 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 boop.
No idea what happened.
Make it worse. That's what I'm going to do.
I don't think Marcus goes there. I think the best place for Marcus Mariota is the Baltimore Ravens. I think he'd be a pretty good backup to a guy like Lamar Jackson because I think he could play in a similar kind of setup.
They have RG3. They don't need Marcus. They already got a terrible backup.
Exactly. So why are the Patriots going to sign him? They don't do anything terribly.
I didn't say he was smart about that comment. I said he was smart about the other comments.
Okay, sure. Also, Ian says Titans trade for Dobbs. He knows Jacob will want that. Yeah. Ian, I would probably hang up my cleats as a Titans fan. Hang up the old helmet, turn it all in, give him my badge and my gun, and be like, I'm going home. I'm not a Titans fan anymore if they trade for Josh Dobbs. I don't know why Jacksonville did. It's because they didn't believe in Gardner Minshew, and I don't blame them for that. But what I am saying is it's Josh Dobbs. If you ever watch this guy play it down in football, he's terrible. He's terrible. So why are you giving up a draft pick for this? Just play your punter and give up on the season. Be done with it.
B says, what do the Pats do? Dink and dunk 5-yard passes. I think Marcus can do that be mobile.
Have you seen how many screen passes Marcus Mariota's missed? He can't throw a screen pass. He doesn't work in a West Coast offense. He doesn't work down the field. I think he still has nerve injury in his right arm. He had a bad elbow injury last season. I think there's still something going on with his nerves where he can't feel everything.
Sorry, Justin says only one team has won a Super Bowl at 9-7. Only 3 teams ever reached a Super Bowl. Who was the team to win, Jake and Drew?
It was the Giants against the Patriots, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was. I was just joking around trying to pretend that every team has a chance to be in the Super Bowl, Justin. Okay? That's all I'm doing. Just trying to have fun here. Why do you always have to ruin my fun, Justin?
Yeah, Giants did it with Eli Manning, the greatest quarterback to ever play.
Is it because the Chiefs are going to beat the Packers on Sunday night? Is that why? And then after that, we're fine, we're good?
Matt Moore, Aaron Rodgers, slightly below that. So look out for that one.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why Matt Moore was such a hot commodity during the offseason. The Dolphins were like, you're going to be our scout.
Finally, the Lions trade Quandre Diggs. Again, a little bit of a head-scratcher from a team that I still think is the race, but maybe 2-3-1 is looking a little insurmountable when you're looking at the Vikings at 5-2 and the Packers with 6 wins. Are they 6-1? Have they been on a bye yet? Yeah, they're 6-1. They lost the Eagles, right? I think that's right. About? Packers. Are they 6-1? 5-1? Numbers are hard. I forget what it is. They've lost one game.
You told me there was no math in this.
Yeah. You look at where the rest of the NFC North is, and then you still have the Bears out there. I guess the Lions are giving up. I like this move by the Seahawks, who are definitely in a 3-horse race now. Nobody's given up on the Rams just yet, even though maybe it's time to.
Why is that giving up?
Trading away your Pro Bowl alternate safety that's one of the best defenders in the backfield.
Maybe is an issue in the locker room, and they're going to get a young guy to have a chance to play.
And you get a 5th-round pick out of the deal, and you have to give up a 7th. To move up 2 rounds, you're trading your Pro Bowl alternate safety from last year. That's giving up. That's giving up. That's folding, Drew. And that's okay if you're done with the season and you're like, maybe he's not a Lion long term.
Well, letting Ryan Tannehill become the starting, quarterback
shouldn't have taken 6 weeks.
Is giving up.
Is it?
Yeah, well, if you're putting in your second
string. Do you really think so?
A second string player, yeah.
Why is he on the second string in the first place?
Well, that's my point about
because
the
they make bad decisions.
Who says this safety that they're going to have come in isn't going to be a better option?
He could be. And maybe they're like, we got a young guy that's going to be a beast.
Scenario. It's anyone that says they're getting rid of a player and bringing in somebody else, they're giving up. No, that's not. They're giving up. That is not the case.
Again, Pro Bowl alternate player. He didn't make the Pro Bowl by himself.
Value at this trade.
But somebody didn't go.
And they're willing to give the value that you think he is worth giving up. It's there.
I get it. Nobody likes safeties in the NFL. We don't value safeties in the NFL. But when you're trading for a 5th-round pick, you're giving up.
Ian, the Lions
when you're swapping picks
up.
for a 5th-round pick, they're giving up.
He's so used to his team losing that anytime a team is losing, they're giving up.
You know who else is used to their team losing? Detroit fans. Okay? And that's why they're trading their safety to move up 2 rounds in this year's draft. Really? Dude, come on. This is giving up, Drew. He's not 30 yet. If you have any hope of making the playoffs, you're like, okay, I got this other young, great player coming in. I'll have 2 great safeties, and that's awesome.
Yeah, there's only 2 safety spots, though, buddy.
Okay, so even if you have another great safety, you'll say, I'll have 3 safeties, and that's awesome because I'm going to the playoffs, and you never know when someone's going to get hurt. When you trade them at the trade deadline for essentially nothing, you didn't even get an extra pick. You're not getting another chance to draft a player here, and GMs love that. They would rather take a 7th-round pick than they would swap picks. Because you're getting an extra guy that I get to pick and I get to evaluate. When you're not getting that, you're giving up. That's all I can say. I don't see another way to look at it. Behind him, you bench Quandre Diggs or you find a way to get that other guy on the field instead. I don't see it, man. I think they're giving up.
Cody, yes. Cody's the Lions did lose Kerryon Johnson for the season.
They IR'd him, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just giving him a hard time. I still don't think that means that they're giving up. Because I went off and came back on. B says I can't remember what the comment was if you want to go back to it. It says, oh, sorry, Drew, I hate to say it, but the Pack is winning the game without Mahomes. Pack catching all the breaks this year.
Now we crashed. All right. Are you ready? We're back. We're back. What were you saying? Was it important?
Yeah. B says he's sorry that the Packers are going to beat the Chiefs, but that's why you're also not a Chiefs fan. You're a Bears fan. We believe the Chiefs can win every game. Even the ones they lose, we believe in our hearts that they won.
We?
The Chiefs fan.
Okay.
I speak for the Chiefs kingdom.
I guess you do. I'm going to give everyone just a second to come back in here, and then we'll keep going. Again, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. He says, keep freezing on Facebook. I'm not sure if it's an internet or whether it's a Facebook kind of glitch.
Or if it's another software issue.
Or it's just me, and I need to just give up, find a day job. It's tough, man. It's tough to decide what to do.
This is not your day job?
I guess it is, definitely. Round 2. Ian, we're glad you're back. Steve, glad you're here as well. I'm glad it works again. I don't know what's going on. Still ugly. I know, man. I can't fix this. I can't fix this. There's no amount of anything else. I can't even wear a mask. People can tell underneath. They're like, damn, just tough.
Whoa. Ugly? That's a strong word.
Also, Ian says we upset the Facebook gods by talking bad about the Lions. It's also because someone said something last week they weren't supposed to. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg
You
hates
say
us.
bad stuff every week.
Yeah, but it's me. It's fine.
You
it's
talk
fine.
like a sailor.
Yeah, off camera.
And you've never even been on water. You're scared of it. You can't swim.
I can swim, actually. Like a rock. I go straight down, but I can swim. Again, welcome back, guys. Sorry about that. Justin says the cheesehead helps. Not sure what happened, but we're glad you're back. Just to round out this point here. Quandre Diggs, Lions giving up. Boom. Done. Conversation over. No discussion.
No.
Wrong.
There is
Wrong.
a discussion.
Go ahead.
Well, Titans are over. Their season's done with. They're going second
Well, we're not
straight
trading.
quarterback, so it's
We're not
over.
trading our Pro Bowl safety to make it happen.
You don't even have a
Byard.
Pro Bowl.
We do.
Darn
Yes.
it, yeah. Well,
Get
you
dunked
don't.
on.
You don't have a Pro Bowl corner.
Yeah, because Malcolm Butler hasn't lived up to.
Neither
lived
do
up
the
to hype.
Chiefs. So you don't have a Pro Bowl defensive lineman.
Always comes back to those guys in red. Magical. You complain about me talking about the Titans. But
Always go back
it's
to
always
the
about
guys in
Chiefs.
baby blue.
Two-tone blue.
Baby
Powder blue,
blue.
all right? Powder blue.
Anytime you put a color on that's considered baby, you automatically lose.
And Cody says, sounds like some fairy dust. I don't know what that means. But he's taking Green Bay's defense for this. He says, just this week because of no Mahomes.
Well, I fairy dust Bill Plucky Drew.
I might have had a stroke reading that. I don't know what happened.
I am down for whatever you told me I need to do. I don't know what that is.
He says he's taking Green Bay because of the defense. And I don't blame him.
And he is
Don't
still
blame him.
sitting here telling you the Steelers and Lions make the playoffs this year.
Steelers with their third string quarterback, if Mason Crosby's ready to go, then
Crosby?
Mason Rudolph. Mason Crosby.
He might do better.
If Mason Rudolph is ready to go, they're back to their second string. Bold prediction. Lions, not quite as bold, but still, I think they're giving up. I think they're saying the Vikings are too good for us, the Packers are too good for us, and the Bears still ahead of us.
And Will's saying go Chiefs this Sunday. See? I told you Will's a good guy.
Definitely could be. Well, then again, you got to remember, he hates the Packers. This could just be a win. It could be.
He just realizes the greater team when he sees one.
Really? Did he like the Packers? Pretty sure he doesn't. All right, we'll move on. Let's talk about the XFL, and we won't dwell on it.
God, do we
And
have
then we'll
to?
talk about the yeah. Well, what else do you want to talk about? It's Tuesday, Drew. What else do you want to talk about the NFL? I just talked about two of the worst primetime games for like an hour. Okay.
We still got another crappy primetime game ahead of us.
We do, and we'll talk about that too. We'll get back to it. I promise you. We'll talk about how the Vikings are going to literally kill the Redskins.
Let's talk about how the XFL will go live February 2020 and end March 2020.
Is that going to happen?
No, they got a lot more financial backing.
Yeah, exactly. Vince McMahon put $500 million into this one.
They might go a year.
A full year?
Well, a
Do
season.
we get to see a playoff game
I don't
here?
know about a fiscal year, but, a season.
A season. Okay. I think this has the chance to succeed. If you look at the way the XFL is set up, they're going from February 8th to April 12th for a regular season here. 10 weeks, kind of like the AAF.
More interruptions. Great. Guys, just stick with us. If you lose us, we're going to jump back on. Man, enjoy us looking like robots. I hope this helps.
I think this is a Facebook thing, but I don't know. Couple more. Arbin says, do we see Mariota going to the XFL?
Yes,
Potentially.
because he'll do better there.
I think
Anyone not
he'll
wearing
find a
baby
spot.
blue.
He'll find a spot on some roster in the NFL. Whether it's a backup, whether it's a third string, he'll be a backup quarterback.
He'll stay in the NFL.
In the NFL, yeah. 100% on that one. I think the Ravens are the best fit. Maybe Seahawks behind him. He would be a good backup quarterback for someone coming in there because he could potentially win you a game when he's hot. And that's what you want out of the backup quarterback, right?
Right.
Has a good game, can win for us. Maybe if we're missing a guy for 5 weeks, maybe we float and go 2-3.
Does that help?
We're all good now. Glad to hear that.
Do I look sexy when I do that?
Couple more here. Ian says he heard that the XFL traded the NFL for the Redskins and Dolphins for $100 and a bag of Skittles. I don't know that I would have thrown the Skittles into the deal, but honestly, both of those teams could play there. Well, do you feel that way? Because, again, I look at the Dolphins, I look at the Redskins, I look at how bad they are, and then I look at the rest of these quarterbacks that are highlighting the XFL, and this has been my complaint since day one. And this is kind of what I want to talk about when I talk about the XFL. So we've got the same kind of season like the ZAF. We have the same kind of disappointing quarterback play as the AAF. I mean, how are you not going out there and just paying a couple guys to headline this league? How are you not paying Johnny Manziel? How are you not paying Tim Tebow? How are you not paying Colin Kaepernick or Vince Young? Or take your pick, go get somebody who's controversial.
Is Vince Young even still trying to play?
I don't know. He's like 35. He could probably do it. Go find somebody better than Phillip Walker, who was a Temple quarterback and a Colts practice squad player for 3 years. Go find somebody better than Jordan Ta'amu, who couldn't make it in the pros at all and was a quarterback for like 15 minutes at Ole Miss.
Dude, they got Matt McGloin.
That's what I'm saying. I was expecting more, and I know they're not paying anybody.
I like that guy.
You like Matt McGloin?
Yeah.
Matt McGloin might be the best quarterback in this league, Drew.
Yeah, honestly.
Second, third, what? Landry Jones, Cardell Jones? Take a pick.
Better than both of them.
Maybe I'd take Cardell Jones if it's like college and there's a bunch of wide windows.
No, Matt McGloin.
Cardell Jones is pretty good in college, if you remember. Ohio State, not a bad run for like some of the time.
Dude, he played.
When was the last time it was like Matt McGloin's a beast? Other than you, like just now.
The Oakland Raiders.
Okay, well, that's true. I don't know, Drew. I look at this team. I look at this setup. I look at all these teams, and I'm kind of just scratching my head. And I'm like, we couldn't do better at quarterback here? How are you not getting me a headline name even if you have to pay this guy?
I don't know.
Give me like 3 guys. You can have 3 great teams and some punching bags, and maybe we get to the playoffs and I want to watch it. But my biggest kind of point here, Drew, is we have a league that can't seem to put any quarterbacks in the field.
Jeremy, good to see you. Justin says Connor Cooks is the best. And Cody says, you mean Pat McCrotch, Matt McGloin.
Pat McCrotch, yes. I always like Pat McCrack, but hey, whichever you prefer. I know, there's a joke in there.
No, you're fine. Justin says, find me the next Kurt Warner. I just think it's a little different. I think there's a difference between the Canadian League and like the XFL and the AAF. Like, there's just like a different feel with it. It's not the same.
It's not even college. It's not even college. I mean, there's like hype around these guys, right? I mean, you watch you watch Tua Tagovailoa, you watch Jalen Hurts, you watch Trevor Lawrence, you watch Jake Fromm, you watch Justin Herbert, and you're like, man, there's spark here. There's something I can build on. There's no spark in any one of those guys I literally just read off. Maybe Andy Murray, if you remember when people said he might be a good quarterback in the pros, and then it never really happened.
Oh, no, he's terrible.
Okay. Well, he was okay in the AAF. Let's see if he's okay in the XFL. But
B says Johnny Football will play in the XFL. He said, watch.
They're only paying these guys $50K a week. Or $50K a year.
I'm down. $50K a week?
Yeah, $50K a week. I would sign up for that, too. They're only paying these guys $50K a year. How many guys are saying, I'm going to go put my neck on the line and get hit 30, 40, 50 times?
Probably about 30 on each team.
Probably more than that. Probably 50, 60, right?
I
You don't get by with 30.
I just threw a number out there. Hey, you never know.
At quarterback, that was what I'm saying. Johnny Manziel's not doing it. Tim Tebow's not giving up that cushy ESPN job to do it.
He plays baseball.
Yeah, but he's getting paid a lot more than that to play baseball for the Mets. I look at this, Drew, and I'm saying if this league's going to survive, they have to get some flash at the top. And that was my main point talking to XFL here today. There's no way this league is a long-term league unless you can lure some talent, whether it's an 18-year-old that doesn't want to go to college and wants to play in the XFL and make a little bit of money before he goes on to the NFL. You got to get me some flash. I need some sex appeal, Vince McMahon. Come on, dude. Get me somebody. And I don't see anybody in this group.
And we actually have an old security camera filming us, so that's exactly why it looks like that. To be honest with you, man, with the XFL, I don't think you're really going to get anything like this that's going to be worth your time unless somehow they can reach agreement with the NFL to kind of share talent scenario where they're kind of like like the D, like the B League for the NBA and stuff like that, or D League, C League, whatever, F League, Q League, whatever it is for the NBA. It'd have to be that same kind of scenario where it might grab some talent because not that those guys aren't talented, but they're just never going to be able to play because so many people in front of them are talented that they might be able to share that talent. Until that happens, I honestly don't think any of these leagues are going to really hold up strong.
Final point, we'll move on from the XFL. How do you feel about the cities? How do you feel about Washington, D.C., and Dallas, and Houston, and L.A., and New York, and St. Louis, and Seattle, and Tampa Bay? Is that a better set than we saw out of the AAF?
No, I only like St. Louis. I think it should all be cities that don't have teams already in them.
I'm cool with it. I can dig it because there won't be other football going on. I like most of these teams. Not crazy about Tampa Bay. Again, I think there's a lot of Midwest teams that would have appreciated this team a lot more than Tampa Bay that won't sell Buccaneers tickets than there is in Tampa Bay, but who knows? Maybe they got a deal on the stadium or something. Seattle, interesting to me. I get they want to have like a cross-the-country kind of vibe, but I don't know that I believe in Seattle to be a market that's going to show up to the point where they're going to be able to feed both the Seahawks and this other XFL team. L.A., Houston, Dallas, these cities, New York, they all have so many people. Eventually, you're going to tag some. Like, you're probably going to sell enough tickets. I like that.
I get why they do like the giant cities.
And St. Louis is that kind of scenario. They just lost their pro team. They're probably pissed off about it. Maybe they go support them.
There's a lot of other big cities that they probably could have put some of these teams
OKC. How great would it be? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'd be a great one.
Tampa Bay versus OKC. I don't know who made that decision. I know they want to be all over the map. Right. They want to have that like SEC representation. I don't know why they picked Tampa because again, Florida's not exactly in the southeast. This could have been Raleigh-Durham, and I'm saying this is a better spot. It could have been Myrtle Beach, and it would have been a better spot than Tampa Bay. Why are you picking a city that can't sell tickets for the NFL?
Yeah.
And no offense, Buccaneers fans, but they're not selling tickets. They rely on tourism to get by every year.
Jeremy, I don't know if they're going to have a 53-man roster. That's why I was making the joke. Ian said San Diego would be another great city, which I agree. B says, well, they need to put tables and garbage cans on the field so they can use them to tackle people through and hit them like
ladders. Bring just a cage down for overtime. I'm okay with some showmanship. I'm not saying I want to see the game of football change, but I do want to see what Vince McMahon's going to do to keep people interested during some of the lulls. Obviously, this guy's the great entertainer, right? He's had the WWE for years now. What is he going to do? Because right now I look at this lineup, and man, I think I'd rather see Triple H go out there and throw a football than I would rather see Philip Walker go up against Luis Perez.
Albuquerque, New Mexico is another great one. Cody says the NFL should get the CFL to expand into cities like Boise and other northern states to push the type of Division II professional sports. Then it wouldn't be the Canadian League.
But I'm okay with that. NHL does it. I mean, we have cross-play. It's not
the United States League.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Change the name.
I'm kidding. It will be perfully fine.
I'd be okay with it.
I just wanted to make.
I'm just not crazy about like the rules.
It's and not how in they Canada. Change everything. Boise's not in Canada. We're not giving them a.
You can have Boise.
We're not getting.
That's on us.
No, can't have it. That's where I get my potatoes from. You can't have it.
All right, we'll move forward here, Drew. My final thoughts: does it succeed? Do we see 3 years of the XFL?
No.
I'm going to say yes, and the reason I say it is because Vince McMahon's already swung the bat once, probably learned from his mistakes, and maybe we see a little bit more. I think there's a lot of pride there. I think he's got a lot of money. I think come hell or high water, we're going to get 3 years out of this group.
I was kidding about only a month. To be honest, though, I think a year's probably more realistic, even though he's thrown money into this. I mean, he's a businessman. He sees the loss of it when it comes down to it. He'll pull in after this season is done. I don't think he'll be like the AF where he just ends abruptly. I think he will finish out the season to see what like the championship holds. Because let's be all honest. I mean, the NFL makes a lot of money.
We're going to watch it.
The NFL's making a lot of money. They always do. They make tons of money on even regular season games. That's why they allow, the Patriots and the Jets going to primetime. That's why they allow the Washington Redskins and the Minnesota Vikings going to primetime games. At some point in time, they're going to hit playoffs. They're going to hit the championship game, and that's where they're going to make some money. I think Vince McMahon will allow the XFL to get there and see what that looks like and see if that create hype for the next season. But if there isn't hype after that, I think he'll end it after year one.
I guess we'll see. Steve wants to know, Bills over and under 11 wins. I like the way 11 wins sounds actually now. And if you would have asked me that beforehand, I think we gave him like 7, maybe 6 in the offseason, 6, 7, 8. We were in that kind of range. But if you look at the schedule and the way everybody that they played to this point versus what they have coming up, they don't have a lot of tough games. You should have said 11.5, and I would have said under at 11. I like the Bills to win 11 games this year.
Steven, good to see you. He says, have you seen how terrible WWE is doing in rating-wise? He can't even do that anymore. He's lost his mind.
Or has he split his focus? And sometimes you take your focus off of one thing, everything else suffers.
I'll give you that. I think his son and daughter kind of run more of the WWE thing. I know he still says he makes the decisions, but I think it's more his son and daughter that's doing a lot of that. As far as the WWE goes, I think it's more the fact he's burned so many darn bridges with some of these stars that they're willing to take chances with like AEW, whatever it is now.
Yeah.
And I think that's more the reason he's kind of burned them. And that's why these young players in football just don't know what kind of businessman Vince McMahon is. They're willing to make money because they love playing this game that we all love, and I think they're willing to take that chance, and I think he's willing to take advantage of young people. I think that's just who he is to make millions.
Is it taking advantage of them, or is it giving him another shot? Because how many of these guys
if you see some of
getting other shots?
Contracts that he screws people over with,
Sure.
WWE?
No, I know.
Yes.
I've heard all of that.
Yeah.
But do I think the XFL is there because he's taking advantage of cheap players and cheap young guys? Maybe a little bit, but you got to think: what is Matt McGloin doing right about now? What is Jordan Ta'amu doing right now? Probably selling insurance,
getting cut after.
It's Chris Redman. Yeah, exactly. No, he's not doing anything.
No, he gets cut during training camp.
Well, we still got that opportunity because this league's going on in the off season.
Well, I mean, just saying. Yeah. You're asking me what he's doing.
Not much. Fair answer. Again, I think this only helps young guys. I understand the money's not there, and it's always a risk when you're playing football, but. This will help, and far be it from me from defending Vince McMahon and all his business practices. But again, I'm not like, oh yeah, he's like gonna take advantage of all these guys. These guys have no value right now at all, and he's giving them something.
He's got value in dollars.
Who?
Vince McMahon.
No, I'm talking about these guys as in like Philip Walker. I'm talking Jordan Ta'amu. I'm talking Brandon Silvers.
But I don't feel sorry for any of those guys.
They've all got hotter wives than me. So
you're not married.
Precisely. Hotter than my wife. All right, we'll move on. Drew, I'm looking at this.
Don't you talk about Righty like that. She's a pretty lady.
Thank you. We'll move forward, and we'll talk about World Series or basketball. It's your choice. Now, you know what? I'm going to do a couple comments, and then we'll move on. It's going to be a hard one to recover from. Also, Jeremy says, Albuquerque, New Mexico should have a team. I would like to see one in the ABQ. I think you read it already, but I'm reading it again because I don't care. Will says, if he lived in Tampa, he would have season tickets. You and 9 other people feel the same way, Will. I totally agree with you. Martavis says, what is our take on Oakland getting an arena team? I like them filling the void. I think Oakland would be a good place for the XFL to play with the Raiders likely on their way out, but when there's a team across the bay in San Fran, eventually I think those Raiders fans are going to give up the ghost and move over to the 49ers. I understand bad blood, everything else, and they've supported the Raiders so much for so long, but as soon as you feel abandoned and you see that other team geographically so close to you, you're going to get a lot of them that say, you know what? I'm trading in the silver and black, and I'm going to go wear red and gold.
Yeah.
I don't hate an arena team being there.
I don't know.
All right, we'll move forward. Justin says, no Papa John's, but the fairgrounds has a field, doesn't it? Okay. Yes.
Cody says, off topic, can I pick up Diggs? Need a wide receiver this week. What do you think? If you could pick
Stephon Diggs?
If you could pick up Stephon Diggs, I think you should have picked him up a long time ago.
Do it.
Do you mean trade for him?
If you could trade for him, do it on the cheap. Again, I'm not sure how much I trust him with Kirk Cousins week in and week out, but if Adam Thielen's not going to play, they got to throw it to somebody.
And he's already talking about playing. You saw him jogging on the sideline. It's a hamstring issue. Yes, they can be lingering, but
he's doubtful this week.
When does Adam Thielen really rely on his speed? Diggs is more the speed guy. Adam Thielen's more of a route runner. He's just more about cutting. Hamstring, yes, it can kind of cause a little bit of issues with the hamstring, but really it's more about creating speed. To be honest with you, he might sit this game just because it's a short week. But to be honest, I think he'll be going in the next week.
He will forever be a boomer bust guy with Kirk Cousins not being protected. The problem is always going to be, does Kirk Cousins have enough time to throw him the ball? Because he seems to like Thielen in a pinch. I don't hate the pickup, but I'm not going to tell you to go trade something great away to bring in Stephon Diggs because he has boom potential where he'll put up 37 points like he did last week when he scored 3 touchdowns, but he also has a lot of bust potential when Adam Thielen's catching the ball and they're just running with Dalvin Cook.
All right, man, we got to get moving on. Do we want to keep doing comments, or do you want to hit what you want to talk about?
Baseball or basketball? Your choice first.
Let's do baseball. What's going on right now?
World Series.
Let's do it.
It's the only reason we're talking about it. No, I'm just kidding. Who you got? Nationals?
Well, so far, someone commented, don't remember who it was. Houston's already up 2-0 right now in the game.
I'm just saying I'm a genius for picking them as soon as they trade for Greinke.
Oh, you're
genius.
so smart.
First guy to ever say it.
To be honest with you, it's going to be a very low-scoring affair. It's all going to be about defense and base percentages and stuff like that. It's going to kind of go back to the 2015 season where the Kansas City Royals won. Kind of that style of play. I don't think they'll go like that kind of dirty where they're stealing bases, but I think it's going to come to that kind of issue where it's going to be about getting people in the right scoring position. This pitching across the board with the Nationals and the Astros are going to cause it. It's not going to be like the Bombers where if you saw like the Dodgers and the Yankees go where it's going to be a high-scoring affair. It's not going to be like that. I'd be very surprised if a game gets up to 5 scores or more. That being said, don't put it past them. It's a good possibility it could happen, but that being said, all said and done, I just because I don't want the Astros to win, I'm going to take the Nationals to win it. But I ain't going to lie to you, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to go Nationals all the way.
This is the favorite versus momentum. If you want to go momentum, you go with the Nationals, but they've also had a couple extra days to cool their heels, which is not what you want to have when you're the team with momentum. You want to keep playing.
Right.
I'm going to go Astros all the way. I told you as soon as they got Greinke done and dusted, I liked him before that. I loved him afterward. This is a team with 3 great starting pitchers. Not that the Nationals don't have pitching. I think the Nationals' best strength right now is having guys like Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg coming in on the mound.
Right.
Corbin's a good starter for them as well.
Yes.
But do they match up with Greinke, Verlander, and Garrett Cole?
Yeah. No.
They don't. And then you look at the bat side of things. I like Correa. I love Altuve. I think these guys are just absolute monsters. I got to go bats edge, Houston, pitching edge, Houston. It's Houston, man. It's Houston. And I said the baseball season was over when they made that trade.
I'm picking with my heart. I'm going Nationals. Justin says Nationals in 7 games. He's also saying the Nationals put up a point. Yep, they put up a point in there.
Run, baseball.
A point.
Okay.
It's a point.
Huge baseball fan you could tell from the Yankees hat to saying points. He probably calls them referees as well.
Yeah, they're not referees. Home base referee.
Yeah, exactly. Home base referee.
First down referee, second down referee, and third down referee. There's not those guys?
I know we don't talk baseball, but pretend you know what we're talking about.
Where's the out of bounds at?
Yeah, exactly.
So when their period's over, do they get like a little break and they go back to their locker room?
Yeah, they bring out the Zamboni and mow the grass.
I figured that's what happened.
All right. For baseball, again, the World Series is going on. If you're paying attention, you're probably paying attention now. Now's a good time to tune in. I like watching baseball in the playoffs. I don't love regular season baseball because there's too much of it, even though I like watching highlights of regular season baseball. I just don't have 4.5 hours to sit down and watch every game. Now it's time to sit down for 4.5 hours and watch every game. So I'm going to do that. Obviously not tonight. Obviously not tomorrow. Obviously not Friday. Obviously not Sunday because I got other things going on. But when I can, I'm going to watch the World Series.
Justin said Drew just irked my well-being. I'm glad I could help you live your life a little bit fuller, buddy.
All right. And Steve also says, does anyone really care about the NBA until like March? Well, usually we hold off until the football season stops. But
well, don't worry, guys, because Jake made a mistake too. As soon as Mason Crosby gets in our quarterback at the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're going to be all better with our lives.
Well,
we're not allowed to make mistakes here in Sports Around the Bar. So when we do, we make sure we dig it into your skin as deep as we possibly can until you get annoyed with us.
You done me in butthurt?
I just think it's funny. Okay.
Okay.
I said a point, and you're like, oh, you mean run? You don't know baseball. Ooh.
That was a good impression. I like that.
Yeah, did I nail you?
No, you didn't. Pretty close, though. Pretty close. All right, we'll move forward. Again, basketball next.
Let's do it. Steve says, does anyone really care about the NBA until like March? Yes, they do.
Also in Sports Around the Bar, we read your comments 12 times. Drew, I just read it.
Listen, no one listens to Jake besides Jake, so I appreciate you guys for sticking around listening to me talk.
Okay. All right, basketball. Let's move forward.
Yes, I think people do pay attention to it, man. I do think it's...
We like it. We just don't talk about it on the show because you want to talk football.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a great sport with really drama queens across the board. The roster stays so short or small, whatever you want to put it as, and it just creates this mentality of people that just seem to kind of like get under your skin. There's only like a few people out there, like maybe Stephen Curry, that you're kind of like, I could see
exactly what I was going to say.
I could sit there and hang out with this guy.
I'd have
possibly.
a beer with Steph Curry.
But then you got people like, I know everyone's going to say it, LeBron James. They're like, I couldn't even stand being in the same room as this guy, let alone talk to him. I think it creates more of those people.
Yeah, the whole Hong Kong thing and shut up and drivel about people having free speech. Still not cool about that, LeBron. Come on, dude.
But that being said, I think NBA is in an upswing. I think this offseason is one of the best off seasons that you could have ever asked for, because we were all looking at it, who's going to beat, Golden State last year, I mean, surprisingly they did lose, but who was going to beat them? Now I think it's literally, in my opinion, open.
I think you're better off than you have been, but I'm going to disagree a little bit. I think the reason we talk so much basketball is because ESPN owns the rights to basketball, and they talk basketball because they own the rights to basketball. If this was Fox with it, might not be quite as popular as everyone wants to say. But let me say this. A couple things early going on that I want to look at for the NBA and that I want to talk about is Houston. I want to see what this dynamic between James Harden and Russell Westbrook looks like. See, I almost said Brian Westbrook. You could have called me on that, but I didn't. I caught myself because we're professionals and we have standards, Drew.
And we don't make mistakes.
Exactly. What is this Houston team going to look like? What is James Harden and Russell Westbrook, both who love to have the balls in their hands? Okay.
The ball in their hands.
Don't love to have the ball in their hands. What do these two guys look like when the season starts? And how long does it take for them to find that equilibrium where everybody's touching the ball long enough that they're both satisfied?
Well,
is that enough innuendo for you?
I don't know why you gotta keep laughing. It makes me laugh. Anyways, well, they have played together before, so that kind of makes a difference. They're kind of used to sharing the rock and making sure who gets to keep it and who doesn't. But now, when they did, they weren't any names. They didn't, who was Westbrook, who was James Harden at that time. Now they got egos. Now they've created this kind of, that's my whole thing.
He was
that
the
I
guy
was
that
talking
said,
about before.
I'm leaving because I'm better than you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now you bring them together. I think there is a growing curve. They got to learn to share. It's back to kindergarten. It's everyone's toy, not just your toy. So that is going to make a difference. Do I think that they can get along? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen right now? No. Is it going to be halfway this season? It might be halfway through the season before they find what kind of chemistry works between the two.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is don't hit the panic button on Houston. As long as they scrape their way into the playoffs. I mean, even last year they came in as the 4th seed because the last couple games didn't really matter to them. They didn't really care. I think it's kind of the same situation that if you make it with this group and you find a way to gel when playoff time comes around, they have a chance to win. They do. Yeah. I think this is probably the best iteration of Houston we've seen. I would rather see Russell Westbrook there, even though Steven's saying he's the most overrated stat patter in the game. I think I'd rather see Russell Westbrook than I would see Chris Paul at this point. Right?
Yeah.
Would you?
Steven, I hope so. He says Nuggets title in the Mile High City this season. I think this is a better season for them to have a chance to do that than it was last year, even though they have the best home record. I always want to keep bringing that up.
And that was also my point from last season. Nuggets need another year of experience playing. So I think this year will be very telling. I think they'll be better. I can't wait to see some of these other their development because they're still a young team. I want to see them step up and challenge for that first spot.
And
a little bit more
we're still relying on very young, talented, and or very young talent that has not had a long time to flourish in the league. So
and you got to lose one before you win one. Hopefully, this will be the kind of setup that maybe we see them make a title push.
Right.
And I know everyone's taking Clippers, and I do want to talk about them really quick here.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about the Lakers, the other team out there in LA. Are they finally back?
Well, Ian's saying today is an exciting time for LA. Let's see what we got. No battle for LA. It's all purple and gold Lakers. He's already claimed the Lakers got it.
They're finally back. Is that what you would say?
I think that they're...
How you doing, Michael? Good to see you, man.
They're more back than they were last year. Even with LeBron.
I'm glad they moved Lonzo out, too. Again, get the distractions out of there. I know everyone's saying, oh, he's got talent, he's got potential, blah, 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 blah. I never really saw it. I wasn't crazy about the pick already. Yeah. And then you're going to bring in all that distraction, everything else in a market like LA that already has so much media that everyone's paying attention to every little thing that you do, every cough, every fart, they're hearing it in the media.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a guy like that who's just perpetual distraction. I like he's out of there. And I know LeBron is also a circus, and he brings the circus with him, but he can eat up a lot of that attention that was kind of on a lot of these other guys. Guys like Kyle Kuzma, I don't think we're talking about Kyle Kuzma very much this year. We were talking about Kyle Kuzma versus Lonzo Ball and the rapping at each other. All kinds of crap in last season. I think it gets quieter because LeBron's in the room. And hopefully stays healthy.
Steven says, not a Lakers fan, but the NBA is more fun to watch when they're good. I agree, man. I agree.
Would you say the same thing about the Celtics?
But also because LA Lakers have a lot of TV contracts with a lot of broadcasters, which you're constantly watching the LA play. So the fact that they're good, you get to watch better basketball.
I agree. I'm interested to see what Anthony Davis with another big man looks like. Because remember, we were all, or at least I was, ready to crown them champions when they brought in DeMarcus Cousins out there in New Orleans. And it never really quite fit. It never really quite came together. Do we see that again in LA? Or can he and LeBron, who is definitely more versatile than DeMarcus Cousins, don't get me wrong, but it's still two big men and then a bunch of smaller guys that have some question marks around them. Do they find a way to make that work and become a dominant team? Or do we get another New Orleans situation where they should be better on paper than what they are on the court?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be telling. Michael says Warriors all the way. Do you say just a quick question, Michael? I mean, did you not see a setback? I know you get Stephen Curry.
Klay Thompson's out.
I know you get Klay Thompson's out.
Yeah, he's going to miss almost all year. But Kerr's like, don't rule him out.
Yeah, and then you got Amon Green. I mean, is that enough to keep, in a sense, Titletown rolling? Because they've been there a lot.
They have. They definitely have. I think the stranglehold on the Western Conference is gone. I think they're just another team in the race now. I mean, I look at Houston. Especially with no Klay Thompson. I look at Houston. I look at the Lakers. I look at the Nuggets. I look at the Jazz even when you look at that starting five and how good that team can be. There are a lot of teams out in the West that can win this. Even to Will's point, how about the Mavs? They now have Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic looks good too. They have a lot of competition out West.
To be honest, Will, I think it's kind of the same scenario the Nuggets are. Maybe the Nuggets are a little bit further along because of the team chemistry, but it's just going to be a matter of time before they can get the other pieces around those two players to
Porzingis got to stay healthy.
Yeah, it's still, but it's not just them two. I mean, you got to put other pieces around these two guys.
It's not the NBA. It can be those two, right? Everyone has two. The Clippers, too. I didn't mention the Clippers. Another great team in the West. The West, stacked. The East, really, really
Steve
pathetic.
Says his Raptors are going to be stuck and mediocre now that the Kawhi is gone.
I agree. I think they bought a championship, and to their credit, I thought they were paying for one and weren't going to get it, but they managed to slug one out. I'll give the Raptors credit, man. They got it when I didn't think they would.
Michael says, yeah, he knows. It's going to be okay. He ain't worried about it. He's got faith.
In the Warriors, if you get Klay Thompson back ahead of schedule, going into the playoffs, and they come in as like a fifth seed because the West is so tough,
yeah,
they can do it.
They're going to be
dangerous.
Because
now all of a sudden you've got three. You got Draymond Green. You have Steph Curry. Yeah, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson going up against a lot of teams that have two guys. And hopefully that extra man is the difference maker. I don't know that they're that good. I don't know that the roster behind them is going to be good enough. I like the Clippers roster all the way through when you talk about the defense they can play. I like the Jazz roster all the way through. Even Houston I think I like better than the Golden State Warriors roster. Not the LA Lakers, though. I'll say that. The Lakers are pretty top dependent here, too.
I like the Denver Nuggets roster, too.
I think, again, it's whoever's hot. You could have Steph Curry go lights out shooting threes, and all of a sudden it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm actually...
Ian says the Clippers, too, the team who might be better than the Lakers this year. That team.
For
the first time in forever.
Let's move on to Thursday Night Football, man.
Let's do it. Only, again, because we're contractually obligated to talk about the Vikings and the Redskins. Is anyone taking the Redskins here?
No, I was.
Are you sure you don't want to widen the gap a little bit, Drew?
Yeah,
Give me another handicap.
I'm good. I'm sticking with the Vikings to win this. During the offseason, we picked the Vikings as well to win this game. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout because I do think the loss of Thielen is a big issue, but I don't consider it a close matchup either.
It's in the Dome. They're not going to get the advantage of playing in the weather like they did against the 49ers and had that respectable 9-0 loss. I think this gets ugly, Drew. I think regardless of who the quarterback is, defensively.
Getting ugly.
Defensively, I think.
Just like we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so we're going to watch every minute of it. Yeah.
Yeah, call us ugly.
Everyone else saying we're beautiful. Justin had to bring us back down a notch. Yeah. Back down to earth. I think the Vikings are going to defensively just dominate the Redskins, regardless of who the quarterback is. I think offensively, Kirk Cousins should have the time he needs to throw, regardless of receivers. It'll be Kyle Rudolph. It'll be Irv Smith. It'll be some receiver that doesn't matter. It'll be Dalvin Cook. They're going to find a way to move the ball. Yeah. I think this is ugly.
I I don't know.
The real question is,
I just don't know if it's going to be.
Will you take a beer bet on it? And when I say a beer bet, I'll give you 17. 17 points. So if the Redskins keep it within 17, because you were saying it's close, will you take a beer bet on this game?
I didn't say it's not going to be a 33-0. That's what's not going to happen. It's not going to be a 33-0.
Give me points here. Give me points. How many points are the Redskins going to score? Give me the over/under on it. I'll obviously take the under, but give me points.
Well, you're going to like it. It'll be under 21.
So you're saying the Redskins score under 21 points, I win the bet?
No, the difference between the points are 21.
Different. Okay, 21-point line.
So it'd be like 0 to 21. Then
I'll take 21 points. I'll do it. It's a beer bet. I'll take 21 points.
What was our other beer bet? We always forget.
Yeah, I know. I'll try to remember this one. I think the Vikings win this one by 21 points. Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments. But
Steve says that Diggs gets 177 yards and 3 touchdowns.
That's 21 points.
Yes, but
Maybe
Adrian Peterson gets a touchdown. Maybe.
They are playing in Minnesota, so they'll be inside.
Right.
I'm not worried about the weather. It's going to be on turf.
Adrian Peterson
Everyone's
goes home
going to be fast.
for like the third time.
Adrian Peterson, maybe. But against
Second
this
time?
defense, I'm going to say no. Case Keenum maybe throws for 300 yards, but even when he does, they don't score points, so who cares?
Yeah.
What are they going to put Dwayne Haskins in the game to beat him? I'll take 21. Whatever. I'm gambling here. 21's a
do
lot
it.
for the NFL, but I'll take 21.
Let's do it. Michael's
question
going
is-
Vikings. I think everyone's going Vikings. I'd be
Yeah.
interested if anyone's not going Vikings.
The real question is, and this is the biggest thing, do the Vikings stay interested in the game long enough to score 21 points? 21 more points than the Redskins. I don't know. That's my biggest threat. I'll take that beer bet, though. I'm taking the Vikings, definitely. So are you.
Yeah.
So is the show. My final thoughts for this show is I want to see better primetime games. What the hell, NFL?
Yeah, that was going to be my final thought. It's time to start switching out some of these games to better games. It's time.
I
It's time.
appreciate the Cowboys and the Eagles. That was a good game that got out of hand. Who was the genius that said Jets Patriots is a solid game to put on Monday night before the season started?
Ian says Washington wins this, and then they wake up and play the game, and Vikes by 17.
17 doesn't cover my bet. Can you say 27? I'm with you, Ian. This has got to be Vikings all the way, man. 100%. You're 100% right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for the likes, comments, and shares. It means the world to us. I'm sorry that we got interruptions. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I do want to give a special thanks out to Ian, Martavius Scott, Cody, Frank, Jonathan, Justin, Will, Jeff, Jacob, Steve, Terry, Bees, Jeremy, Steven, Michael. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much.
And if you didn't comment, thank you for watching. Again, you don't always have to say anything, but we appreciate when you do. We do this because we love talking with you. We will be back tomorrow to talk about college football, 6:45 Central, 7:45 Eastern, just like always. Talk about everything going on. You want to talk about Tua Tagovailoa being hurt. You want to talk about Tennessee, maybe having a chance to beat him if Garantano wasn't a retard. You want to talk about anything. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to get a shadow banned. You want to talk about anything going on in college football, tomorrow is your day. We'll be back at that time, or at least I will. Probably Drew will not be, but hopefully Hannah will be in studio with us as well. For Sports Around the Bar, I am Jakey Bartender. This is Drew, and we will see you tomorrow.
See ya.